Hello and welcome to my very first episode of Business Finance Made Simple, the podcast. My name is Melissa Silber. I'm a CPA up in Ontario, Canada. I've been a part of the corporate world for 15 years and now I'm not in it anymore. I didn't always have dreams of being a CPA, however. Back when I was a kid, I was always very good at math and science together, and I had a really great biology teacher in high school. I did really well in his class, and he told me I should go on to pursue biology, and I had dreams of becoming a doctor when I was a little girl. So I did a degree in biology right outside of high school. I did do an about-face and became an accountant a bit later on, but I do think this is a testament to how young people are when they go to university and how they really have no idea what it is that they want to do. So have that degree in biology, always been a very strong environmentalist. I learned about climate change in my early university career. I've since seen the situation around the global climate deteriorating, and we're seeing that Mother Nature is very angry with all of us. My content might veer into environmentalism at sometimes, and that is why. Also a caring citizen and don't want to see this world go up in flames. I feel like a lot of people are in that boat. There's a lot of big, powerful people and corporations who are enriched by destroying the planet, and I think until we take a really good look at that system, we're not going to be able to change anything. Anyway, back to me and the podcast. After I decided I didn't want to be a doctor anymore, I got a job in an office and I started doing accounts payable transactions, and I loved accounting. I loved every bit of it. I loved the accounting system. I wanted to learn more. So I decided pretty quickly after starting work that I wanted to become a CPA, and I started working towards my accounting designation. In some cases, for the lower level courses, you can transfer in credits from your previous undergrad degree. I did not have anything that could transfer in because it was all science and ecology and chemistry and things that you don't need to be an accountant. So had to start fresh. I worked full-time while doing my designation. My husband says during those 4 years I was just like a walking textbook. I would work and come home and just get to work on my latest course. Sometimes I was doing 3 to 4 courses at a time, but it was like full-time school, full-time work. But I got through it and I got my designation right around the same time I had my daughter. After my maternity leave, I had my designation and I popped around a bunch of different places in the corporate world. I've always been a very IT-focused accountant. I like to see what's in place, assess what the technology changes could be for that business. I love to put in systems. I love to create processes that work, that make sense, that inform business decisions. And so that is what I did in my corporate career. I would implement new financial systems, financial system upgrades. I put in a large-scale payroll system, and just making the existing staff's life easier is a great reward in doing those type of projects. What a lot of people have misconceptions about is that those projects don't necessarily replace people. There's still people who need to work in the software and interpret the results. And software is not something that you can just set it and forget it and it's going to just run your business for you. The quality of the outputs that you can make decisions off of is dependent on the quality of the inputs, which are going into the system either from other systems in your company or manual entry by your staff. There needs to be a big analysis done of current state before you can go and jump in and try to throw a new and improved software at a company. In March of 2021, I decided that the corporate life was no longer for me. I left my corporate career, and that started a journey of reflection. I had been a huge workaholic my whole life, and I was striving for something, and I was just never quite satisfied. I realized that was a problem once the work was taken out of the picture. I had to deal with a lot of issues that were inside of me from childhood that kind of made me tick, I guess you could say, and made me have this constant strive for more and more, but never fully actually thinking that I'd done a good job. I was off for a few months. I wasn't sure if I was going to go back after I'd had my reset and get another job in a different company. Ultimately, I did decide to incorporate my CPA firm. So that is where Melissa Silber CPA Professional Corporation came to be. That was in July of 2021. I wasn't really sure what that would look like either. I was just flying by the seat of my pants at this point because I'd only ever known the corporate world. I hadn't been a business owner myself. I'd always had an entrepreneurial spirit, but this was a big step. My original idea was I was going to do what I had done in the corporate world, but for smaller businesses. Offer fractional CFO/advisory services to smaller businesses that don't have the budget or the need for a full-time CPA because those are expensive. Just give the amount of resources they need to make good decisions for their business. So that was one idea, and that is a service I'm offering in Canada only on a very small scale. What developed from that in doing discovery calls with various entrepreneurs who were looking for a fractional CFO solution, I found that there were three main trends among these entrepreneurs. The first trend was that they didn't understand what their accountant or bookkeeper was telling them. They only usually saw those professionals at tax time, and they'd go back and forth and they'd get the accountant everything they need, and then the accountant would file taxes for them, but they didn't ever really understand the financial statements, and they didn't always feel comfortable asking questions. Like they're afraid it's a dumb question because they don't have a finance background and they have imposter syndrome in that area. So they just don't ask any questions, and therefore they're not getting the information they need. Another major trend I saw was that they were so afraid of getting audited. Like they hadn't been audited yet, or they've just been selected for an audit by either the CRA or the IRS. How are you supposed to do things by the book if you don't even know what's in the book? They're afraid that the tax man's going to come in and say, you've been doing everything wrong. This is all a fraud. They don't know what they don't know. And that makes them nervous just because there is that knowledge gap between the auditors coming in and them as a first-time business owner. So what I decided to do is create a program for entrepreneurs to basically take everything that I learned in my corporate career in these huge businesses, the type of things that they had the analysts looking for, the best practices in, receivables, payables, and just reading those financial statements. So it was like a combo of my academic learning and getting my CPA designation and my hands-on experience in the corporate world to just roll it up into one package to sell to entrepreneurs so that they can have that knowledge for themselves. They're still going to need a bookkeeper. They're still going to need an accountant, but if they know what the accountant and bookkeeper is talking about, they can get more value from those professionals because they're going to be able to ask better questions. They're going to be able to understand what they're saying and have it be a two-way street rather than just being told what's up. It's so important that business owners are reviewing their financials on a regular basis, and way too often they're only actually compiling their financials at tax time. That's fine for a compliance standpoint. Your tax bill is going to be calculated and you're going to have to pay your taxes, and that is a very important, necessary step in your business. But if you have a business where you are buying raw materials, creating it into a product, shipping it out, the costs of all those inputs, from raw materials, from the supply of basically anything these days, as well as the increasing costs for shipping and freight charges, your profitability needs to be assessed. And you can have a business that's making $10 million in revenue, but their expenses are $11 million. So they're actually not a profitable business. And once you become unprofitable, if you're not fixing things, your business will eventually fail. I want to encourage business owners to be not just focused on their sales numbers, but your operating expenses. Get to understand those cost of goods sold. This stuff will come together in an easy to understand way in my program. If you have that knowledge, then if the cost of something goes up, you can immediately assess and look at the profitability of that item and either find a cheaper input if you can, or increase your price just like everyone else is, but you need to know those metrics in order to make those decisions. And that is what I'm trying to scream from the rooftops to and educate as many entrepreneurs as I can. So that is my program. So I will be plugging that every chance I get because I want to get a lot of great entrepreneurs in there. There's a community as well where you can bounce ideas off of each other, put questions in there for me about your specific business. I want to grow it to be a great community. It's a one-time price for both the course and the community and all the attachments to the course. I'll link to my landing page, and it's just a one-time tax deductible expense. So I am very excited about that. What I want to do in this podcast is I want to tackle a topic every week, which I guess is pretty standard podcast format. Usually it'll be related to either a blog I've done or I'm releasing. So I want to have the blog post, the in-depth podcast on it. I'm going to be talking about lots of different things that you as a business owner will hopefully learn from and be able to have a better idea about how things work. And business finance doesn't need to be a scary thing. I want to make it accessible. I believe it should be taught in high schools rather than trigonometry and algebra, because working in a math profession, I never have used those things. Yeah, I'm very excited. Hopefully this isn't too rough. I'm going to be editing this podcast myself. Please subscribe. I'm going to try to get this on iTunes. I'm going to put it on YouTube. Subscribe if you want to keep seeing my content. And I strongly encourage you to send me an email if you have questions that you want me to cover in this podcast. I'm going to make everything applicable to Canada and the United States. The CRA and IRS are similar, but they have some little nuanced differences. So I think it's important for all North American businesses, if they are going to be doing business in both, because a lot have multiple locations, to understand the nuances between the two tax authorities. So thank you very much for listening to my long-winded introduction on myself, and I look forward to helping your business. Go check out Business Finance Made Simple if you haven't already. Thanks. Bye-bye.